Hey y'all, today I'm gonna run down with you my screens for my electronics front and back, why I have them set up the way they are, and what little things that make a difference for me. So let's go. All right, so we are at the driver's console right now, and as you can see, I have a nice big map so that when I'm running on full pad, I'm able to figure out if there's any contour changes, any humps or anything like that that I'm looking for while I'm on full run, or any sandbars. With that, I have 2D running so that I can make sure that I'm still, again, in a nice safe depth. This HDS 12 is linked to vessel view, so I have my engine hours to make sure I don't go over the engine. I can instantly see my oil pressure, fuel or temperatures, engine temperature, my trim, where it's at or what RPMs I'm at. And that also, you can see some other things if you break into this and be able to see other things with the vessel view. Vessel control is more for trolling, but that also comes with the vessel view. As far as other screens, so the next screen that I will run while I'm graphing will give me side scan out of right here. I normally have that between 60 and 80, so I can see really good, and I usually set that at 455. If I really want to look detailed, I'll get to an 800, but 90% of the time I'm at 455. I'm more looking for structure, not an individual fish. If I want to do individual fish, I just hop up and do forward scan and look through that way. Then you got 2D, down scan, and then again I have GPS on the left hand side. I went with a 12-inch because 12-inch is the only one, or the first size that lets you do 5 screens. You'll see in the front 9-inch will only let you do basically these 4, or a combination. You can only do 4 screens. If you're curious on side scan, this is left and that is right. So if you add these two together for the left and the right, you actually get a bigger screen than if I were to just put one across the bottom that's right and left, because you have the left side and the right side basically zoomed in with that larger screen. The 2D, all this stuff, you don't really need that. I mean, you can zoom in pretty far on all this. You don't necessarily need that to be a large screen. And then again, this is, if you're graphing, you're just looking for what you're driving over and what fish are there. Next screen that I can do is just if I already, let's say I already know where the rock pile is, I already know where the ditch is, I already know where all that is, I will actually specifically choose this screen so that when I drive over that rock pile, I can see the tiny little details of, is there a fish next to that rock, is there a fish behind that rock, you know, so on and so forth. And then it gives me a larger screen so I can make sure I'm zooming in or I'm driving over my proper waypoints. Next screen is actually the forward scan from the front mirrored back here. That is actually so that I can drop the trolling motor in the water and drive around with the trolling motor and the forward scan in, and be able to see what's in front of me for either depth changes if I think I'm in shallow water, or if there's schools of roaming bass. That way I can actually see what's out there before I actually get to it while I'm idling. And then it also works for scout mode, so that I can see like where the rocks are, how everything lays out. Sometimes on side scan it looks a little bit different than when you're in scout mode. So that's what I run, and those are all 4 of my quick keys. And I think we're gonna run up front, and I'll show you the up front. All right, so up front you can see I have the Lowrance Ghost with the 3-in-1, so that I can do that new 360, which I am not quite sure if it's worth it or not. I got a 12-inch on top, 9-inch on the bottom. Sole purpose of the 12-inch is to run forward scan, whether it is forward, down, or scout mode. I generally just leave it at that. I do have it set up so that I can run side scan and some other things if I choose to, but most of the time it's pretty much just forward scan and that's it. Something I forgot to mention in the back, all of these graphs, every single one of them, I can run the trolling motor off of, which is turned off right now, but I can select a waypoint on here, tell it to drive to it, and spot lock where it's at, so I don't have to try and guess where I was parked. If I'm in a certain cast and I cast out, I just make and I'm on spot lock, I just make a waypoint, and I can drive back to that waypoint to make that exact cast again to where I need to, or that specific line if it's a certain rock or something that I'm fishing off of. And that comes in really handy once you learn how to use all that and you actually have the presence of mind to make the waypoint before you pull yourself off the spot lock. Same thing as like a backseater or the other person or co-angler gets stuck, or you get stuck, you're able to get back to where you want to be. Now, as far as the 9-inch, the 9-inch does a lot more work than that forward scan. So this again has my graph kind of like that with the 2 small down scans so that I can see what's going on. Again, I can zoom in and out, do whatever I need to do. One of the other screens that I run on the 9-inch is this screen right here, which kicks in that that side again, where one side's left, one side's right. And what this will actually do is, if I use this in conjunction with the forward scan, what you basically can see is you can see right, or sorry, you can see left, you can see right, and you can see in front of you all at the same time. So there's like Don Pedro, not as familiar with that lake, there was a rock pile off to the right hand side of me. I had no clue was there. I was working a specific rock pile. Seeing that other rock pile and knowing it was within casting distance, I was able to pick up a couple extra fish. And that side scan on there can really help you out. It gives you a lot of information. The only downfall of all this setup is you don't have GPS with the way it goes. You'd have to have another 12-inch so you could do the 5-screen thing like I did in the back. But for the most part, I mean, that's pretty much where this thing lives, is right there with the map, the 2D down scan, and forward scan. And the other thing is, in the back I have a 0.1 transducer. So what the 0.1 does on a Lowrance is that no matter which way the wind is blowing or however it goes, the arrow is always in line with my boat. So if I see a waypoint up and to the left of me, that cast is just up and to the left of me. I don't have to figure out which way the wind's blowing and correct all this and do all that math. I just fire a shot, and then the other thing is I can reinforce that, whatever I saw waypoint wise, I can reinforce that with all of my electronics. The other thing, like I mentioned earlier, that I was able to do the 360, I have not messed with this too much. I found a boat in Clear Lake with it. I can only see this being worth something if you have like power poles so that you're able to continually sweep an area, or the other option is like a slight breeze so you can drift down a bank or a flat or something like that. But as far as a day-to-day use, it cuts out your trolling motor. You can't run the trolling motor at the same time, so by the time you actually sweep and see what is around here, you are no longer on there. You've moved off of it, so it's pretty much dead still days, or you'd have to power pole down. That's pretty much it. That actually ran a little bit longer than I thought I would. Hopefully there's some information in there. If you have Lowrance, play with putting one screen out the right, one screen out the left, and making that bar wider so that you can get more side scan in there. This does work with the 9 inches. You can actually get a side scan image as large as a 12-inch in a 9-inch and still have other screens that are giving you what you need. I hope this might have given you some tips or some suggestions of how you could set up screens. I will probably be doing a little bit more electronic stuff, forward scan related, side scan related, in the future. But until then, I hope you get them.